And welcome to Tuesday. Gosh, we have some interesting things for you today. Now, all week long, we're talking about job search and all the things that affect job search, from the plan itself to your resume to what you do in social media and LinkedIn, and really how you even take the social media end of that a little bit farther. We're going to close out the week all about interviewing and all the things you can do to change that equation there. The difference this series this week is every single session will have some AI secrets mixed in. So you will begin to understand where you should, or at least where I'd recommend you use it, and where maybe it's not quite ready for prime time. So as you can see, coming up this week, we have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday still left. Yesterday's and this lecture are or will be available on replay as soon as we finish, but yesterday certainly is available. So feel free, wherever you're watching, whether it's on YouTube or LinkedIn or over on my Self-Recruiter YouTube channel or Facebook, wherever it might be, it'll help you a lot. Now, if you're suffering from it's a branding issue. It's a branding issue of how you brand your career, how you make yourself stand out. Check out my website. There's a lot of videos. And if you need one-on-one service, I'm there to help you as well. And lots of contact information over there, selfrecruiter.com. So as we get into today is really about resume renovation. How do we solve all these issues? Well, we're not going to solve it with a little bit of paint, a little bit of wallpaper, that kind of thing. We're going to have to get out the big, heavy equipment and break it down to the studs and rebuild this, because it requires working on the story and the format. These are the problems that really hold us back. And we have to convince people that we can work remotely, that we can be persuasive, that we can be engaging. And if we haven't done that, we have to think about other ways, as you see right here, to potentially list out skills that illustrate that ability, even if it's not identical, even right down to giving talks or webinars or conference call sessions with clients, those kinds of things. All of that can be seen as being effective at a distance. This requires a paradigm shift in how we approach things. Now, if you haven't seen me before, John Crant, author, career coach, and speaker, resume and LinkedIn guru as well. So if you're suffering, as most are, with really poor materials, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, all those things that kind of define who you are, work with someone that can really help you. Those are some of the resources you're looking at that are available over on my LinkedIn and over on my Self-Recruiter website. Enough about that. Let's get right ahead as we get past this little piece here. There we go. So the whole series, but especially today, the whole series is about becoming this self-recruiter. You know what that is? That's one great recruiter that looks after one great candidate, which is you. So it's about you becoming the effective manager and promoter for yourself. And that means you have to be this individual that takes control, looks at things a different way, or learns how to take control by following the steps that I teach. It's a competition any way we think about it, and we have to not stick our head in the sand, or we're going to get beat by that competitor. We'd all love to kind of see that job. I'll just apply for it. I'll just get it. And if it only worked that way, if it was really only that easy. But everybody's sitting back doing the same thing you're doing. And I really doubt it's hitting apply buttons. It's hitting submit buttons, all capital letters, like a deep little rut, until we're so submissive. It's like a Friday night waiting for that phone call again. It's ever going to get here? Ever going to get here? Leaves us in a very unhappy place that doesn't feel productive to us. We have to get over that, put it up on the shelf, box it up, get it out of our way. That holds us back. We all have those pieces, the wounds we need to lick everything else. We've got to focus on the usual, customer expected, and move it to an unusual, unconventional, unexpected place. Today, we'll do it on the resume, in the storytelling that we're going to do, in the way we'll be presenting, because your job is to be persuasive, and this document is a persuasion document. Everything on it has to be absolutely letter true, but not everything in reality has to be on the resume. There's no sin of omission here. There's only sin of commission here. So let's get down to one of the important questions I deal with all of the time. Why is it that a resume still matters? I mean, isn't everything social and digital and everything else? It's like, true, it is. It's part of how we take control of the discussion of ourselves. Not always, but typically tends still to be the first awareness of you, some giant stack of resumes. We'll talk about that. And by holding on to this resume, it's a sales document you're going to have to learn to love. That's a living document that's always evaluating. But if it's going to become effective, You really have to understand the challenge. And the challenge, and I'm just going to dip over to my settings because I want to make sure my audio is on, which I believe it is, but yes, it is. There we go. You know, those haunting thoughts you have on occasion. So by the numbers, it's really, really different than people think as a job seeker. So any kind of a decent job, that's 1,000 to 2,000 resumes going in. Now, please don't mishear that. That is not 1,000 to 2,000 qualified individuals. They see this job, it's a great job, and all the different positions around it also go, oh, if they have that job, they must have a job for me. And then they all throw their resume into that job, which they're not right for. And that ends up with 90 to 95% of these resumes not being the one we would really hire. Wow, mind blowing, right? But we don't really have the view yet. So who can read 1,000 emails, 1,000 resumes, 1,000 cover letters, and do all of their own work that they have to do? Maybe some miracle person, I don't know about that, but we're still not thinking of it clearly. We have to back up a little bit more. Because whether we're working with an internal recruiter, external recruiter, whatever, if they've got that recruiter title, they tend to typically work on 10 open jobs at a time. That's how the workflow works in the industry. That means who can read 10,000 emails, 10,000 resumes, and 10,000 cover letters. I don't think there's anybody that can actually read that. So you have mere seconds. You have mere seconds of impression to capture their imagination, be the standout, be different. That's going to take several versions of your resume, probably 3, 4, 5, 6 iterations. So the animation is going a little bit fast there. You have to think about how can I still be cookie cutter perfect like you just saw, but also be the person stepping out of line that's exceptional, and small changes change all of that. So let's get to what we need to change, and that's our story. Or I should say the first thing we need to change, which is the story. We will get to formatting in just a little bit. Also coming up, don't forget, I'm going to give you some AI secrets today to really dazzle on your cover letter. So stay tuned for that in the cover letter section coming up. So first thing to do is really the same thing I do with my own individual clients. I've been working with individual clients, helping them restage, reinvent, and change their trajectories in their career, for the last 10, 12 plus years. Before that, 7, 8 years as an outside headhunter, recruiter. And during that time, I was also VP of a 100-office recruiting chain and head of their national training program that trained all of the recruiters. So all these secrets I'm teaching you are things you can really count on. These are things that if you put your heart and soul into it and do the work, it will pay off for you. So the first step is to close for inventory. You know your story the same dull way. Sorry, while I grab a tissue. The same dull way you've been telling it forever. Okay. So you have to interview yourself as if you don't know yourself. Now I do this with my clients. We spend about 90 minutes doing a deep dive, talking about everything. I mean, when I get done with it, most of my clients are like, wow, I haven't talked about a lot of that stuff in decades. It's not like a normal interview. This is to look under every rock, look under the bed, look in the closet. I'm looking for every piece of lost story that somehow got dismissed or tossed away or put up on the shelf, or, oh, that's too old or too insignificant for who I am now. You're emotionally attached to all those pieces. And that's the problem with you parsing and retelling this story. I'm not emotionally attached to that story. But what I can see is all the different elements by doing this, coming up with this inventory, just like you can. And out of that, you may be capable and qualified, which of course you need to be, but don't forget the interesting side of the story. So why are you interesting? What makes you tick, which could have something to do with your work, could have nothing to do with your work. It's still a sell piece, because that's, if you're capable and qualified, that's the reason I hire you. Now, if you do this 90-minute session where you do the deep dive interview, uncover everything about your background that you had forgotten. So many people tell me, like, I'd forgotten that. And they're like, wow, it's all back in my brain after revisiting it. So I usually come up with about 8 or 9 pages of notes. I think you'll probably come up with that. And you simply take a highlighter and become very, very stingy with your approval. What becomes elevated enough to rise to the level of being resume worthy? Oh, there's one. There's a nugget of gold, drop of perfume, ruby, diamond, emerald. Those are the things we're looking for. We highlight those things through the 8 or 9 pages. You probably have the core elements that must go onto the basic resume. Every other piece is negotiable. with yourself, depending on how it affects the story. This is not about telling endless story. This is about telling succinct story that gets them to jump out of their chair, get them in here, get them on the phone. I have to hear more. Yeah, you don't have to tell the whole story. By the way, you have to understand the difference between individuals that are very, very eager and I want to go places, and individuals that are very, very confident in what they do. Confident individuals, right or wrong, do not tend to explain how they did it. You know why? Because they're confident. Oh, actually, we did this, this, and this. It was fantastic. And they don't tell you how they did it. Now, you could ask them, certainly. But the person that lacks confidence tends to give way too much detail. So think about that in your storytelling technique as you go through these notes. Now, all of these notes, you also have to filter it through a little bit of a lens that thinks about brand. Those are all the different things, as you see here, that I don't have to repeat, that somehow affect about how people think about you. These are the things that separate you from the rest. This concept of the person that's really got it going on and the rest of the crowd. How are we going to do that? Well, really, everything is filtered through a singular question. It's why is it going to be the very best business decision they make today if they choose to hire me? And very quickly, you'll be able to look at your background and see all the reasons that are the right reasons for that answer. And you have to be very, very stingy on that qualifier. Let's take a look at some resumes. This one, I got hit in the head with a brick with this resume right after giving a live lecture at the New York Public Library. Someone came up to me. It was about a 90-minute session with a Q&A and everything else. And they come up to me right afterward and they're like, I've been told all I can expect is more of this. And they present it to me. I'm like, what is it? What is it? Now, I'm pretty caffeinated. I have a lot of adrenaline after a lecture. I'm excited and a lot of passion. And I'm looking at this resume and I'm like, I'm going to fall asleep here. If I fall asleep, that's not very good. I'm better to ask a question. What would you like to do? Oh, I'd like to be in events. I'm like, have you ever been in events? Ouch. Ouch. Let's just zoom really, really close here. If I look there, it says events coordinator. I hate to say it this way, but I am me. And I can't see it. All I can see is law firm, law firm, law firm. Oh, it looks like a lot of law firm. Even if we zoom in, I'm like, I can't see it. How do you think anyone else is going to see it? The story doesn't come to life. All people see is, oh, law firm, more law firm for you. They don't even know what you do. They're just more law firm for you. That's all I can see for you because I have this wall of creativity that isn't happening. So you have to think about how you change that whole story. This is the exact same person that used to be the brick in the head. Now the story comes to life. Notice also that you didn't see any sentence structure. I'll give you a little secret. When I create a resume for a client, there is not a single sentence on the entire document unless I put a quote. If I happen to hear you say something magical, often goes into a quote. But short of that, there wouldn't be a single thing. It's all absorption today. They need to be able to glance, absorb, feel your product, get them on the phone, get them in here, create that connection. Small changes change perception. This is all part of the personal branding, back to all those things that separate you from everybody else. And how do we kind of parse those out and use them to our benefit? Now, I'm going to make these a little bit larger. I'll go over top this way so they're a little bit larger. These are just some ones I plucked off the internet. Someone had been doing a Pinterest site of resumes. I'm like, oh, I like resumes. Let's take a look. And so it was nice. They collected these for me and I pulled off a few of the very traditional, normal samples I've seen floating around forevermore. And I want to tell you what's wrong with each of these so that when I teach you about what to do with your resume, you really understand it. So this first one, Kelly here, kudos to Kelly on his or her brand. I get it. Nice and large. That's terrific. That's terrific. I took off the last name. Yes, it did fill the whole thing. Figured you didn't need Kelly's last name. My other thoughts, though, are I don't think the all caps is really very great because you got to be engaging without creating a wall. And also the shades of yellow. It's really hard to look at on screen when it prints out as shades of gray. Not really great. And that's the last positive thing I can actually say about this resume. This resume suffers from what most suffer from, and that's a complete failure to consider information architecture. Someone has to decide your readers are only going to spend 15 seconds with this. No, 10 seconds with you, 5 seconds for you. What do you want them to read in that time frame? That is decided by you and how you structure. Here, I don't know if I'm supposed to go down the left column or go left to right and back and forth. How's it supposed to work? And it's over within seconds for Kelly. Julia. Now, I did not write the comments on the bottom here, but it said, oh, who said the name had to be at the top anyway? I feel I have to come bigger for this one. Let's just get in here. The name has to be at the top. I'm a big believer in changing the rules. The subtitle of my book is Changing the Rules in Job Search. This is a rule you can't change. What happens here is an information architecture problem again. Am I supposed to continue reading down the page or go to the top, or how's it supposed to work? And actually, if I gave you some other commentary, and we can zoom in so you can see it a little larger, you know, the only thing I can actually see here are the reasons I do not hire someone. Dates are never a reason I hire you. Dates are only a reason I would not hire you. So while dates are expected on a resume, why in heaven's name would I put the dates over where their eye pattern is? Think about a normal resume. Name at the top, employer title, employer title, employer title, education running down the left side. It's a reverse half moon. I need to get those dates as far away from their eyes, not in bold. Why, my gosh, why would you put them in bold? So look here so you don't hire me. Smaller, not in bold, out of the way, don't even look here kind of attitude. You know what I can't see here? And I know you might say, well, John, they're blurred out a little bit. That's not what I mean. I can't see the employers. The employers are buried over in the middle of the text, and the employers determine almost every single ounce of your value. It's who you did it for, not your title alone, that creates that. So we have to think about that a lot. Julia has a long way to go there. Martin here, whew, yep, I stripped out all that contact info. I figured I didn't need it. Gosh, I've seen this format so many times over the decades. Don't know what to say. It's not worth 25% of your entire real estate on a single page resume to tell me your contact information stacked up like a layer cake. That could be a single line running across the rest of the story. The rest of the page could be telling your story. But here, what is the rest of the page telling me? Education, internship, and personal skills. Oh my gosh, those are labels drawing all the story. None of your story comes to life. And again, information architecture of 2 columns, left, right, up, down. I'm not sure what to do. And it's over very quickly because of the archaic style of the resume. We have seconds. We have seconds, and we have to take every one of these considerations into account. It's about influencing people and how they think about us with that personal branding. The resume is about catching or piquing that interest. When we look at the LinkedIn profile, it's something different. It's about closing the deal with me as the very, very best individual. And it's about clarity and influence. And that means the clarity of our career path and our story, and influence how other people feel about us and our product. And that comes back to this resume that creates engagement, which is closer to that kind of engagement. Let's dive into the 5 areas I'm going to teach you today. And now that you understand what not to do, coming back to every one of these, you are a product 2, resume, the new definition, your resume's goals, understanding stacks of resumes, and the 3-second test for resumes. Let's go back to the beginning. You are this product 2. When a company chooses to hire you, they're buying a product, or at least they're buying your time and talents. We all get that today. We may not like that concept, but that means, do you want to be the store brand? Do you want to have like the shelf space that's a little bit over in the corner, not quite in the center, not quite as wide, everything else? Or would you like to be that national brand, the Kellogg's, the Folgers, the whatever it might be that almost reaches off the shelf and slaps you? Also draws a higher dollar value, as you will, being a better product. So we have to think about ourselves as this product and how you see yourself, or how you'd like others to see you, even if they don't right now. Small changes change perception. Resume, the new definition. I hope you're ready for this one. You need not a lot of pencil or ink for this one. Simple sales sheet that creates desire. You know, I was up on stage with the Reverend Jesse Jackson a few years ago at Rainbow Push Wall Street Project. And there were 5 coaches, and we each got like 12 minutes to speak besides roundtable Q&A, which was nice. I'm like, oh, so generous. Maybe I can come a little bit larger here now. So generous, 12 minutes to speak. I love it. I love it. And what will I say? And of course, out of the 5 coaches, I'm the only one that brought a presentation for the 12 minutes. The other 4 are just going to get up there and talk. Okay, missed opportunity there. And I decided, well, who's my audience? Well, given who it was and who had organized the event, I'm like, oh, my father was a Catholic deacon. I know how to go a little evangelical if I need to. These folks need a motivational pitch. I'm going to change my usual talk and make it just a 12-minute motivational tour de force pitch with 40 slides, none tied to what I'm saying or semi-tied to what I'm saying, all flying by in the background through the talk. And I got the very first question, and I got 35% of all of the questions. The very next speaker actually commented on this, the simple sales sheet that creates desire. She got up there and she goes, interesting before she started. She's like, looking at me. So it's like, a resume that creates desire. Yeah, interesting. Well, when I was reinventing myself, I think the book's still in print. I'm like, what? You're going to reference a book that helped you that isn't even in print, and you think you're conveying you have something relevant to say. We have to think out of the box. Resume's goals, well, let's be clear. Its mission in life is to deliver the interview. If it's delivering the interview, it's probably doing what it needs to, probably don't need to change very much. But if it's not delivering the interviews that you want, there's something wrong with it and it needs to change. Simply sending it to more and more people with some algorithm isn't going to solve the problem. Your resume's goals are different. It's a clear, clean, straightforward format where the information literally jumps off the page for the reader. Highlight it in such a way that everything that you want to be seen is just there. Of course, clearly informs about educational background as well. Understanding stacks of resumes. Now, I am not a fan of applying online. And my clients call me up, they're like, hey, John, I have this job, I want to go after it. I'm like, fantastic. Don't apply for it. Like, what? Don't apply for it. Well, how am I going to get that job if I don't apply for it? Well, first off, do you want to work in HR? Okay, you don't? Okay, because when you apply for something online, you know where that goes? HR. If that's where you want to work, that's where your decision maker actually is. For the rest of you, you want to work in a different department, and the HR department is not there as your friend. They're not really even there as an expert to evaluate you, and they make incorrect decisions all the time. That's not to lambast HR overly. We really don't understand all of their functions. They have a great many other responsibilities beyond just what you see in filtering. Get yourself to the decision maker. But if you didn't listen to me and you click that darn submit or apply or whatever it might be, and it goes off to HR in almost all cases, what happens? Well, your resume is going toward this giant black hole in space called the data warehouse, but before it gets there, it's going by a real person, and they're going to sort you into one of three stacks. There might be somebody in here. Might be. That's the good stack. That's the good stack. Maybe somebody in here. I'll have to come back and take another look. But they don't come back. They don't come back because, you know what? I have an incoming river of all new resumes coming at me, kind of at full force here. Why would I ever go back to these people that couldn't quite convey their value to me the first time when I have all new exciting people to look at? Stack 2 becomes a dead-end stack. And of course, number 3 is an actual dead-end stack. I'm not sure why you sent this in there in the first place. Probably all those jobs surrounding. Secret, you may not like this whole thing. The time allotted is 3 to 5 seconds. That's not an exaggeration. Your first goal is to get your resume into stack 1 within 3 to 5 seconds, or it's not really ever going to be read by a person. It's not really going to be evaluated. You're not really going to get looked at. Cover letter won't be looked at, all those kinds of things. By the way, when you do get your resume into stack 1, before we move on to one-page resume, today there's still too many resumes. I'm still ending up with 50 resumes in stack 1 after doing all that sorting. Let's go back to the basic problem. Who can read 50 resumes, 50 cover letters, 50 emails? It's not going to happen. There's a secondary sorting process that happens. They grab your name, which is why tomorrow is so important, and they pop it on LinkedIn. And not on LinkedIn, out comes the resume over to stack 2. They're trying to whittle the 50 down to the 8, 10, 12, 15 best of the best to look at. You're on LinkedIn, but it's basically a placeholder. There's a name, there's a couple titles. There's empty little warehouse of no story here. Okay, out comes the resume over to stack 2. No one likes this third one. When you're on LinkedIn and it's exactly what I see on the resume, in general, out comes that resume over to stack 2 because you forgot the real challenge. By the time I get to LinkedIn in most cases, I'm looking for the rest of the story, the more interesting pieces that all didn't fit that single sales sheet of the resume that made me so excited about you. You don't tell me anything additional about you. Don't pitch yourself in any additional ways. It's not interesting. You may be getting eliminated. And if you don't make that final cut of the 8, 10, 12, 15, whatever it is, not really going to read every word of the resume or the cover letter or your emails until you get down to that level. And that means a single sheet of paper, unless it's 2, but you realize I'll never be happy about that. Single sheet in all cases. We're looking at your name, which is your brand, the last 3 employers and titles. We're looking at that educational background. Now, the 3-second test for resumes. If you have your resume, let me get a little drink here. I'm going a little dry. Not coffee today because I've already had 2. So 3-second test. Pick up your resume in a moment. And when I tell you, you're going to look at yourself as if, I don't know this person. It did not clear my throat. I don't know this person. And in the time I allot you, I'll tell you when to stop. I want you to look at this person that is you as with new, fresh eyes, and I want you to tell yourself what you know by the end of the time. Go ahead and take a look. And stop. And for those that watch me drinking instead of looking at your resume, that was the full 5 seconds, 1001 to 1005. You'll never get longer than that. You're in one of those 3 stacks. Most people look up like deer in the headlights going, oh, I can't tell you anything about this person. And they're me. The storytelling has to change. I object to objectives all of the time. They don't belong anymore. Profiles at the top, collections of everything I've done since childhood. Just hit me in the head over and over with all these bricks. Use that space for what I call a positioning title, something clearer that is a dead bullseye for the job that you want. That means, yes, every single time this top of the resume should change. That's what should change, not the rest of it. Just this positioning title, so they pick it up and they go, it's exactly what I'm looking for. Yes, it is. Now look at how I contributed to these other companies. Now, as your background gets more complex, the positioning title might get more complex. Might be 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of stuff as your career collects. This becomes a little bit of a word cloud because you realize there's no sentence structure. And yes, I might put other things that I thought were, not so much the duty responsibility for the role, but a little bit of the emotional. Where are the 4 or 5 emotional things that I think if they saw these, in addition to the right background, my gosh, they would jump out of their chair with the right title too. All of this can be a real game changer in upping your personal branding, shifting your story from those blocks of text to things that sell. By the way, here's that same resume. And you know what? She was so concerned about age, she had cut off that she worked for Martha Stewart Living. She didn't want to show early 90s. I'm like, but you want to work in events and you cut off Martha Stewart Living and House Beautiful magazine and European Travel and Life magazine and all these places you're doing event related things, even at the Guggenheim and stuff. You have to learn when to cut and when not to cut. You have to learn also when not to tell a story. This is a client from many years ago. At the time I worked with them, I think they were 10, 12 years in this role. And, they kept sending out their resume and they're like, wow, let's see if we can go back to that one. Go backward is easy. It's on auto. Sorry about that. But that's important. We're going to go back for that one. You need to see it. So in going back to that one, I said to him, I said, you're using the whole page to tell this one job story because it was 11, 12 years. He thought, that's all that's relevant. That's what I have to show. And my gosh, ended up, there we go. Let's get this back in here. And hold on. Sorry about that. There we go. That should fix it. Now I just need to share it. Sorry about this wait, but it'll be a lot better for you if you can actually see this screen. Okay, so now I turned off the automatic interface. And there it is. So what I want you to realize here is like he used up the whole page to tell this story. And what I did was I took all of the best things that he did and distilled it down to this super paragraph. And then that allowed me to expand the earlier roles that he had just like footnoted with no explanation that actually showed the skill he was trying to sell. Now, he was working at a contract furniture sales, like 1,000 desks type thing. And he's like, I'm so done with furniture, so done with the furniture. I had a great run, but I'm so done. But I send out my resume and all I keep hearing is we don't need a furniture salesperson. Well, the first thing is to stop talking about furniture. And yep, I can come a little larger here. Stop talking about furniture. Now, you may know Price Modern as a brand. I did not. Hayworth, I certainly knew. But other than corporate office furnishings, there's not one other word about furniture here. This is a sales professional. Look at the top, extensive experience, software, hardware, and services, achieved $50 million cumulative sales to date, ranked top 10 in revenues, all the reasons that would make this person someone that I have to speak with. And then we expanded earlier to show software, hardware, services, because his challenge was to sell 15-year-old experience, which may be someone's challenge here. I want you to think about how you are going to utilize these things. Here's one more secret to tell you. This is a bottom of a resume. On the bottom of this resume here, because you know it's a single page in all cases, I decided to split the bottom of the resume. It's probably one of the only ways to be really, really efficient. So this was also a more mature individual. We decided to cut the career at some point. So we either decided to cut or start the career with electronic data systems back in 1999. And I don't know if you know EDS, but they're one of those companies. Every industry has one. You hired, oh my God, they hired you? You must almost walk on water. Oh, I'm sure some of these companies hire stinkers, but the perception is if they hired you, you must be amazing. 3 prior employers, 2 of those 3 prior employers also rise to that same stunning level. Kaiser Permanente and PricewaterhouseCoopers couldn't possibly not show those. It's like, wow, look at these things. But those 3 prior employers add 17 years of extra background. Anybody here need to be 17 years older next time you interview? Well, maybe a couple of us, but not many of us, So if you remove the dates there, you also have to remove the dates off education because you cannot allow them to do mathematics. And yet you have to sell that piece of it. Now look down at the education. There's 3 colleges or universities here, but only 2 of them are treated the same. Excuse this reference here, but University of Maryland's does not trump the others because it's simply a PMP, a certification. That's why it does not go ahead of the bachelor or master's, even though if this is your industry, you know it's all about that PMP. This is building the dessert, really flip it upside down, building the dessert and the drizzle and the cherry on top. PMP is the cherry right on top. They'll see that as almost one of the last things. Yep, community involvement, everything else, I'm getting my brownie points for being a good human being besides delivering amazing things. Let me just mention, although tomorrow will be the LinkedIn side, I want you on your LinkedIn to think about how people are going to move from the resume to LinkedIn. And that means on the top, it's a single contact line, starting with LinkedIn, ending with your cell phone number, city, state, email in between, because the 2 things I want them to do most are easiest to get to on the outside. Think about that. Now, let's go to the other half of what we have to solve today, and that is a paradigm shift in the story and now on the format side. So I'm going to give you some formatting here. This part you should write down. This part is not, as I'm reading a message at the same time, so apologies for that. Get this window out of my way. I suddenly made my share window so large, it was taking over the whole screen. Okay. So when we look here, I want you to think about different spacing and everything else. Now, this is not in my book or in any article. Write it down. Every brand name, that's Good Samaritan Village, Salvation Army, United Way, all those things, 10-point bold. Actually, what you do is you take everything on that page. Oh, switch into all automatics now. Sorry about that. You take everything on that page and make it 10-point. And then you go down from there. So the brand names, that's employers, all 10-point bold. The rest of the line, the comma, location, and date, not bold and not 10-point, probably 7-point. Nice, small, diminutive. It's there, but don't look there. Look at the brand. How dazzling. Just below that, I have the title, not bold, so it doesn't fight. I'll go back to that screen here in a second. It'll flip through quickly, though. Remember, you can pause the video to look at this as well very, very easily. So on the title, I want it to draw attention, so I make it italicized, not bold, and I make it a 0.5 point less than the brand. So it's 9.5 in size, both working in harmony to draw attention. By the way, I put 2 points of space between those lines. I'll show you how to add the spacing coming up. So, in fact, it's already showing on screen. So if we think about it, the bullet points themselves are 8.5 in size. When you make them 8.5 in size, they'll get a little tight, a little hard to read, and they're already highlighted. So you just go to this window, paragraph, click on this little area that says points after, and you put, for the bullet points, 1.75 points of space, enter, and then magically return the right breathing room. Same way I put 2 points of space after the brand, or 4 points of space after the title before the bullet points. Things that are framework like professional experience, education, those are all 7-point bold, all capital. But even that small, all capital, they'll draw too much attention. So make sure you make them a little bit gray. They provide the structure, and they go into the background. Your story comes to the forefront. Now, how you add space between characters, because sometimes something won't quite fit, and you're going to have to go back and hit pause on that. Sorry about that. But you just pull up that last window that you saw to go under font. Now in the second window, I can either expand or condense the character spacing. And you realize if a bullet doesn't quite fit on a line, I can condense it just a little tiny bit till it fits. Or if something doesn't quite look right up in this positioning space, I can spread it out just a little bit to have more substance. Always, I can adjust it around a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 iterations to get to the right resume. The 2-3 hours you will spend on this initial version is just the initial version. Don't stop too soon. Don't stop before it's effective. Every single time, put it next to the original. What's better, what works, what doesn't work. Back to the drawing board. 5-second test or 3-second test if you're really going after the tougher challenge. Back to the drawing board. Get to the right version. Your work pedigree. We get that 3 to 5 seconds, but we don't quite get how the brands affect everything. Look at this guy here with Nestle, Kraft, Coca-Cola. Gosh, simplest resume in the world, if this is all that's there. But even from this, what can I glean? First off, I see career progression. I see engineer to manager to director. And oh my gosh, look at these companies. Has the degree too. Look at these brands. For argument's sake, let's make you the boss. You have to hire whatever Todd's applying for. And you got 2 candidates. You only have 1 interview spot left. You have Todd, and you have someone identical to Todd. Same University of Florida, BS in agriculture, same engineer to manager to director, but they did it for 3 food and beverage companies you've never heard of. And there's like 1 million of them. Let's see who gets that interview. Is it Todd or the other person? Todd or the other person? No question. Todd gets the interview every time. That's the effective brand. So value everywhere, nowhere to be seen. These achievements you put under there have to be bullet pointed and have to pop. And that means revenues, expenses are somehow affecting performance, really beginning to dazzle in the storytelling. Get them in here. I have to hear the rest. They've already caught my attention. Degrees of degrees, the truth, and the whole truth, and nothing but it. Have you received in hand your college degree? Strange way to ask, I know. I had to learn to ask that as a recruiter when I found out people were lying to me. 3 credits shy is not a degree. I didn't pay my $186 that was still due is not a degree. They're going to check that stuff, so don't lose the job. You know, I saw one individual lose one of their offers for a job that didn't even require a degree because they lied. Well, what are you going to lie about once you're on staff if you're already lying about this? The whole idea is to move your brand forward, help them visualize your value, and of course, you know, let them know where you are in education. A word about word. Headless Horseman video over my YouTube channel. You can learn how to convert your perfect resume that you've done all this work on over to a PDF, and only ever send a PDF file. All sorts of reasons there, but let's get over to your cover letter. And today we're also going to tell you not only how to write a really amazing cover letter and give you an article link that'll help you, which is right over on my self-recruiter website, but also we're going to give you some AI secrets to make your very best cover letter even better. So first step is go to my self-recruiter website at selfrecruiter.com, click on the advice tab, and look for this article, Knock Knock, How to Write a Cover Letter That Opens Doors. You simply go there, click on the advice tab. Oh, there it is, Knock Knock. And suddenly this article will open up, which will take you through all of the structure for a proper, effective cover letter. And that means an opening and closing paragraph that understands that's the emotional opening pitch and closing pitch for the interview. Everything in between is 2 or 3 paragraphs of detail that reinforce everything you're pitching and selling. And we can't forget the entire time that this is a date. This is a date. It's like family if I were to hire you, because I'm going to see more of you than my loved ones likely. And that's why we want to like people. So it's not just being qualified, but you've got to romance them. Tell them what's going on and why you're excited about this company. It's not just I'm available. I don't really hire people that are just available. That's not really my thing. I'm looking for the best one. That means when you write your cover letter, and even using AI, you must write your cover letter first. It'll never be your cover letter if you don't write it first. So yeah, I know it's hard to do, but AI is going to make it so much easier if you just put the initial effort in. So be your authentic self. Have some brand vision about yourself. How do you see yourself? What's your grandiose future idea of what you're going to grow into? This means we have to be bold. We have to be confident. You're there to make the case. You're not there jiggling your cup in your hand. You're there to go, it's your very lucky day to have met me, without the ego and arrogance that is along with that. That means we can't be submissive. We have to be equal. That means every single person's by first name. I don't care if they have the doctor title. I don't care if they're CEO. It's dear Jack, dear Jim, dear Jill. I just had to reach out and introduce myself to you. I'm so excited by what I see going on at XYZ company. Of course, then you have to tell them. I saw that Wall Street Journal article on your new such and such launch because I went and did the homework and looked for it to stroke their ego. This is how you begin to create the approach. And then you have to tell them why you're so excited beyond just the article, because it somehow attaches to something you've done in the past, which is valuable to them. And you have to ask to meet to share more and a little bit more detail about you in there. In all of this, you're beginning to build chemistry and you're demonstrating confidence. And by caring about them like a potential suitor, a date, you'll have a softer, different approach while you're being valuable. Your job in that letter also is to overcome any objections. You think they're going to not like this or not like that or wish you had this over here. Those are all things that you can think about how you might overcome those, or even tell the AI to help you overcome those. Closing them. Scary sales term. What it really means is ask for what you'd like. That's only half of it. That's not really closing. And ask for agreement to it. That's where they can say no. And that's why people don't like to close. But you need to close them so they're thinking of you as the very best individual. Always an individual for you. Other people are always candidates. Individual candidates. Get the meeting, get the interview, get the offer, whatever it might be. So it's got to be about them. Let's not forget the date piece before it's ever about you. I know you're there to sell them, but you have to create engagement. But it's a lot closer to that style engagement. So back to the cover letter, opening and closing paragraph is where you make your emotional pitch. I always kind of talk about like it's very similar to the opening and closing statement in front of the jury. Same rules of evidence don't apply. They can be emotional. 2 or 3 paragraphs in between, kind of connect all those dots and shore up the logical argument for us being the very best. And then we present ourselves up on a silver platter going for a meeting. I'd love to come in and meet with you. I'd have an opening. I have an opening on my calendar. Your words are very important. Tuesday at 10 a.m., one day, one time, never more. If you're open all next week, I am never meeting with you. You are not busy. You're not valuable. You're wasting my time. Set the expectations. Looking forward to a great discussion. I guess this guy thinks he's going to meet with me. Now, I hope you heard what I just said. I did not say I'm looking forward to a great discussion. That's about you. Everything has to be about them. So also the secret here is you then take what I'm about to teach you next and run it through AI. You have to undo some of what AI will do because it will introduce some subservience back. It will introduce some less truncated, less sales language back. Like, I'm looking forward to a discussion. Who gives a, what about what you're looking for? I only care about me and my hiring. Looking forward to a great discussion. That keeps momentum going, sets the expectations. Now, let's get over to AI and think about this. Now, I'm not going to get into which AI you should use. You can all go out there and sample the different ones yourselves. But here's how you enhance your cover letter. Incredible results using AI, but you better fact check it. You better make sure it's still right because it does make mistakes. But it will still take far less time to create something spectacular with the help of AI, even with the proofing. Now, it's a date. Let's make this large enough so you can see. I'll go over top of it, and I'll get out of the way when we get down to the bottom. So this is a date. So I want you to think about this fact that, I have to romance them. I want to get this offer. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's get back. I did it myself by touching my screen. Sorry about that. We're going to get out of this. And we're going to go back one and play it and share it. Sorry. Window, share, add. That's a lot of clicks to get to there. Okay, so I'm here though. And so it's absolutely key that you write your own cover letter. It's very, very important. Can AI write it for you? Absolutely, but it won't be you. It won't be anything remotely you. It won't work nearly as well. Write it yourself. That's important. That gets the tone to be you. Then you're going to build a single question or prompt, and you're going to share what you wrote, and you're also going to do a number of other things, all in one giant copy paste. It's not like talking back and forth. Don't do it that way. Simply give AI the backstory. Who is this company? Who are you? Why do you want this job? Tell AI any of the details that you know, including the company's website or its materials or histories or anything else you might know. If you have other insights or feelings, or you have a certain perception of them, all of that should be shared. If you have certain reasons why you're better than the competitors, ask AI to help you position that in addition to the letter you're giving it. You don't have to position it yourself. Give them a great letter to start. It will add all of these things for you. Any other thoughts? This is like talking to a dear friend and confessing all the details before you ask them the help question. Now you simply ask the question. Let's be clear. I'm going to write all of this out in one text column. I'm going to copy and paste the entire thing. Boom, boom, have my result. So I move on to the next thing and I write the question. As simple as this: rewrite my cover letter with a higher level of sophistication and engagement, presenting myself as the very best individual for the role and in helping to meet the company's mission. Keep the communications warm and engaging, yet confident with a lot of energy and excitement. Or you can adjust that tone any way that you think is right for your target company, your target individual. Now I'm going to copy and paste the entire thing, and at the very end go, oh, and here's my cover letter to be rewritten, and attach the whole thing. Boom, send it off, hit enter, and woo, within seconds, a much better version that is still you, still your story, spits out. And it's really, really interesting and engaging. The right cover letter, if it's done correctly, the very first paragraph is likely the email that you send to them. And then you simply end the first paragraph going, my full cover letter is attached. Can't wait to read more. This is how you use AI properly to help you with the cover letter. You still get you. You still are organic when you speak to the individual, but you get something that will put you on a very, very different level and a different playing field. I hope that's a huge help. Please do try it. Now, don't forget, all week long, you can tune in right at 12 noon. That's Eastern Daylight Time. So tomorrow we'll be talking about LinkedIn and managing your virtual career brand. Thursday, we'll talk about career evolution. That's how all the ways we can really use social media marketing to really dazzle and change things in our career trajectory or even in our job search. And Friday, we're going to close out the week with interview intervention, all the ways that really we can change the equation and position ourselves as that unique individual with the very best talent. Check out my Self-Recruiter website. There's lots of videos, there's lots of articles, things over there that will help you. If you need help working together to make a much better resume, much better LinkedIn profile, reach out. All my information's over on my website, but it is john@selfrecruiter.com. We'll set up a time to talk. You can also check out the career branding packages. I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for tuning in. Take care. See you tomorrow.